The Senate will come back to order. Chair recognizes the senator from the 7th for a motion. Oh, I reconvened without the... You can say it, I'll hear you. Mr. Secretary, please read the caption.
Senate Bill 211 by Senator Harper of the 7th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 4 of Chapter 2 of Title 26 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to advertisement and sale of meat generally so as to render unlawful the representation of non-animal products and non-slaughtered animal flesh as meat and for other purposes. Mr. President, the House has offered the following substitute to Senate Bill 211. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 4 of Chapter 2 of Title 26 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to advertisement and sale of meat generally so as to render unlawful the representation of non-animal products and non-slaughtered animal flesh as meat and for other purposes. That completes the order.
Senator from the 7th is recognized to speak to his motion.
Into the motion. All right, that works. I can handle that too. It is a good bill. Yes, I am. Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, the Senate Bill 211 is a good bill. It's a good agriculture bill. All industry partners that we've been working with this for the last year. We actually passed this out of the Senate last year. We've been working on this for over a year. We've come up with some agreed language, and that's what you see in front of you. And if there are no questions, Mr. President, I yield the well.
The pro tem was distracting me. I'm going to get back on the rails here. Chair recognizes the senator from the 31st for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Does the chairman yield?
I will yield to my good friend.
So tell me a little bit about this. Are we going to still call non-meat products meat?
Well, to my good friend from the 31st, this is an attempt to make sure that there's truth in labeling and truth in advertising, and that products are conspicuously labeled as such, and if they don't contain meat, that it is labeled that it doesn't contain meat, and that it is a byproduct of either a lab-grown or a veggie type product.
So you further yield?
I will yield.
So it's possible that we could have something grown in a test tube and called meat?
It's possible. However, they could use a term or a verbiage of some type of meat. However, that product still has to be conspicuously labeled for the consumer to make sure the consumer knows that it actually does not come from a livestock animal.
You further yield?
I will.
You used the term meat, and then you referred to verbiage. Would you agree that M-E-A-T is a noun?
Did you say M-E-A-T is a noun?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm worried about where this question's going, but I'd like to recognize the senator from the 53rd for a question. He's got that smile on his face.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm just curious about this bill. Senator Yield.
I will yield.
Look at him. Would you tell us about your meat in this bill?
Well,
I mean, what
to my
all
good
kind are you
friend,
talking about?
we have beef, we have pork, we have lamb, we have chicken, goat meat, fish, eggs, lots of different types of, also game animals, wild game,
So would
deer, turkey.
continue to yield? Would eggs be a meat? Is that considered a meat?
It is considered a protein, yes, sir.
So the protein a meat? So that powder that when I'm working out and physically getting fit, is that powder stuff that I may put in some drink?
How often do you work on physically your fitness?
Well, it's been a few years,
okay.
but don't overdo it.
No comment.
Okay, I think I yield.
Do you continue to yield?
I will yield for one more, Mr. President.
Decisions, one more. The chair recognizes the senator from the 28th for a question.
Oh,
Poor decision, Mr. President. Does the senator yield?
I will yield.
Senator, would you agree that we're all supposed to be statesmen and stateswomen up here and act in an appropriate manner at all times?
I would agree. I think it's questionable for some people.
I agree. Do you further yield?
I will.
Well, do you find it appropriate to put curse words into the law? Do you think it's appropriate in line 14 to have the word carcass in there?
If you're referring to the word carcass, to my good friend from the 28th, I think that it would be an appropriate word.
Oh.
All right, you said one
I've
more
yielded.
question. Senator yields the well. Any other senators wish to speak for or against the measure? The chair sees none. The senator from the 7th has moved that the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 211. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. Have all senators voted? All senators voted. I've got a thumbs up from the... For what purpose does the senator from the 36th rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Isn't it true that there were several questions that did not get addressed that due to people not being recognized and the author leaving the well? And in an abundance of caution, several of those people are moved to vote no on this bill.
Every senator has the right to yield the well at their own time. Mr. Secretary, please close the machine. On the passage of the motion, the yeas are 43, the nays are 8. And the motion for the Senate to agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 211. Chair recognizes the senator from the 53rd for a motion.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Working with the House and, those gestures over there to get them to agree with us, to make sure we got the bill the right way, even coming back over here. I move that the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 416.
Mr. Secretary, please read the caption.
Senate Bill 416 by Senator Mullis of the 53rd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 20-4-37 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the Office of College and Career Transitions and Powers and Duties, so as to change the name of the Office of College and Career Transitions to the Office of College and Career Academies and for other purposes. Mr. President, the House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 416. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 45-7-4 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to annual salaries of certain state employees, officials, in cost of living adjustments so as to revise the compensation of the Lieutenant Governor, to revise the compensation of the members of the General Assembly, to provide for related matters, and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 53rd to speak to his motion.
Let me whip this thing out here. Unveil. All right, Mr. President, this is the pay cut that we have endured here, and it keeps yours at 14%, and ours has been lowered by the House to 10% because of our improvement in our revenues. That's all that they have done. I made sure we always double check what they're doing in the House because you know you can't rely on them sometimes. But we have improved this to our benefit, and I want to commend the men and women in this chamber to doing the right thing to make sure we're part of the cuts that we have here in Georgia. And this will help our staff not have as many furlough days of what you've done today. And I commend you highly, as well as you, Mr. President, for the leadership you give us and the directions that you've taken to also participate in cutting your salary too. What a man. If there's no questions, I will yield the well.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 31st for a question.
Yes, sir, the man from Bremen.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is Senator Yield?
Yes, sir.
Just help me out here. There's no underlying message to this. Just curious. Seems that the presiding officer of the Senate would be his salary would be reduced by 14%, and the presiding officer of the House would be reduced by 10%. Is that an intentional drafting, or?
The gentleman that presides over this chamber has offered 14%, and the gentleman who presides over the chamber there has just taken what we do, because he is a member of the legislature, even though the president of the Senate has his feet in both sides. He is paid out of the legislature.
Did you say has both feet in feet in both sides? Tell me that part again now.
Let me correct myself. I'm so excited being here in front of you.
I'm not sure I'm comfortable you speaking.
Get ready. Get ready. Here it comes. Our presiding officer is part of the executive branch as well as the legislative, I think. My analysis is he has 1 foot in the executive branch and 1 foot in the legislative branch, and the proof of that is that he's paid by the legislature. There are a lot of arguments in that, and I remember a couple of our ones that have left, and thank you, the senator from 28th, for that one who had left. And I didn't realize that their constitutional legality that they had in their training, which they didn't. I'm not answering your question except the presiding officer, I think, has his foot in the legislative branch and in the executive branch.
So what you're essentially saying is the man that presides over this body is a man of great integrity and concern about the people of this state.
I would agree. Did you hear that? I think we need an applause for our providing. Thank you so much. The man from Bremen, he leaves us with wisdom and discernment. I probably need to leave the well before I get any further trouble.
The senator has yielded the well. Is any of the chair recognizes, he waves. Any other senators wish to speak for or against the motion? The chair sees none. The senator from the 53rd has moved that the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 416. All those in favor vote yea, opposed nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. What purpose does the senator from the 53rd rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Isn't it true that the intent originally was 14% for the entire legislative body? And isn't it true that we've gone from 14 to 11 and now to 10 because of the improvement of the revenue?
Certainly the rules chairman knows of what he speaks. For what purpose does the minority leader rise?
Mr. President, is it not true that although I support this and solidarity of workers, we really need to address the legislative pay so we can attract good people in the future, and that should be something that the president members of this body look for in the future?
Certainly the minority leader speaks with great passion and applause. Have all senators voted? Have all senators voted? Mr. Secretary, please close the machine. On the passage of the motion, the yeas are 43, the nays are 10, and the Senate has agreed to the House substitute to Senate Bill 416. What purpose does the senator from the 3rd rise?
Mr. President, I ask for unanimous consent that House Bill 664 be taken off the table.
Senator from the 3rd has moved that House Bill 664 be taken from the table. Is there objection? Mr. Secretary, could you please read the caption?
House Bill 664 by Representative Fleming of the 121st and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 23 of Title 47 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the Georgia Judicial Retirement System so as to require membership in the system for certain persons employed in certain full-time positions requiring admission to the State Bar of Georgia as a condition of employment. If I could please the order, Mr. President.
Senator from the 3rd has moved that House Bill 664 be taken from the table. Is there objection? The chair hears none, and it is placed at the end of today's rules calendar. All right, we're going to have I'm going to take a little bit of a break. My feet are a little sore, and we're going to let somebody be the presiding officer here. Now look, the presiding officer doesn't really get a chance to vote, so you can't vote no.
Let me look at what's up next.
You're going to ask the Secretary to read House Bill 521, and then Butch will take you through.
Check. Will the clerk please read House Bill 521? Secretary, the Secretary, disregard Mr. Clerk. Will the Secretary read House Bill 521?
House Bill 521 by Representative Gaines of the 117th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 2, Chapter 11 of Title 43 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to licenses for the practice of dentistry so as to authorize temporary licenses for dentists licensed in other states to provide dental care to indigent populations in this state and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Rules recommends this bill do pass by substitute. Senator Mullis of the 53rd District Chair. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Rules offers the following substitute to House Bill 521, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 11 of Title 43 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to licenses for the practice of dentistry so as to authorize temporary limited license for dentists and dental hygienists licensed in good standing in other states to provide free dental care to low-income patients in the state on a volunteer basis and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
There you go. That's right.
I recognize the senator from the 32nd to speak to House Bill 521.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is House Bill 521, which allows non-Georgia licensed dentists and dental hygienists to treat low-income patients in Georgia on a volunteer basis for a 5-day period at charitable dental events. Georgia law currently recognizes a volunteer dental license, but it's intended for longer-term use. All procedures performed by these licensees are under the direct supervision of a Georgia licensed dentist, and the Board of Dentistry vets the applicant's credentials and makes sure they're appropriate. I wish I had time to show you the YouTube video from one of these events. This is a great way to safely serve a large number of low-income people, and I would urge your favorable support. Be happy to answer any questions.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 56th for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Excellent job. Will the senator yield?
Sure.
Senator, isn't it true that the dentistry does a day of dentistry and a day of love and caring in many of our communities, and it helps out numerous underprivileged folks who would not otherwise have dental care and makes a real difference in their lives?
That's true.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 2nd to speak to the measure. Oh, no, no. Any further questions of the senator from the 32nd?
I yield. Thank you.
We got another question. Do you yield?
Sure. Happy to.
Senator recognizes senator from the 17th.
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Hey, Senator, isn't it true that you told me you wanted to go out on top here at the end and do something everybody will always remember you for? Isn't that true?
I don't believe I said that.
I'd like to make a motion.
You're out of order. Chair recognizes the senator from the 2nd to speak to the motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today, colleagues, I rise in support of House Bill 521. Many of you don't know that Georgia is the mecca of medical training now. Dentists from across this country fly into Atlanta and other parts of Georgia for training. And some of these trainings, such as dental implants, you actually need a patient. When we pass this measure, that means that dentists will continue to fly to Georgia to spend 4 to 5 days for dental training and dental education. So it is a good tourism bill, it's a good economic development bill, but more importantly, it helps our people from low-income communities, those that have access, those who do not have access to Medicaid, those who live in areas where there are not dentists, that dentists are not around. It just helps dentists, it just helps healthcare, it helps Georgia. And I urge everyone to vote in favor of House Bill 521. If there are no questions, Mr. President, I yield the will.
Chair recognizes senator from the 52nd.
I was going to ask a question, but do you yield?
Mr. Chairman, yes, sir, I yield.
You said this was a great economic tool for the state of Georgia.
Absolutely,
I was
sir.
curious, were you going to be asking for a tax credit for this?
We will not ask for a tax credit for this, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it. Thank you. If there are no more questions, Mr. President, I yield the will.
The senator has yielded the well. Any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? The chair hears none. The question is on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee from which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none. The main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor of the bill will vote yea. Opposed, vote nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. Has all senators voted? We ain't got all night.
Tell them, Bill.
It's not your first rodeo. Get in here. Has all senators voted? Has all senators voted? I'm getting a thumbs up. Minority Leader, he's in another conversation. I guess he has no concern. The clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 52, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. No, I'm not supposed to do that, but I did anyway. You did great. You did great. You have a question? This. Recognize the senator from the 28th. For what purpose do you rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Mr. President, I've got 2 bills coming up. Could you stay up there so I could get unanimous on both of those, please?
I'm sure the gentleman is passionate about what he speaks.
Next order of business is House Bill 663. Could Secretary read the caption?
House Bill 663 by Representative Estration of the 104th and others. Bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 23 of Title 47 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the Georgia Judicial Retirement System so as to require membership in the system for certain persons employed in certain full-time positions requiring admission to the State Bar of Georgia as a condition of employment, to provide for an election for such current employees, to provide for transfer of funds and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Retirement recommends that this bill do pass. Senator Black of the 8th District, Chair. That completes the order.
I recognize Senator of the 8th District to present House Bill 663.
Whoa, did you hear that?
May run statewide after all. I recognize Senator from the 8th to speak. Yeah.
Give me a minute, let me read this thing and see what it does. All right, yeah. Like I said, we have so many of these things that tend to run together, but this little retirement bill provides that the judge of the statewide business court will be eligible to participate in the judicial retirement system. We've already got the fella on board. We paid him, and there's a couple of back months that he's going to have to pay to get in this, but I don't think there's any opposition to it. I think it's the right thing to do. I ask for your support on this. I entertain any questions anyone might have.
Don't see any questions.
Thank you.
Oh, he does? Oh, yeah, Senator from the 43rd, 48th, sorry. For a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Does the chairman yield?
I yield.
I do note for the record there is a fiscal note here.
I think there is a little bit of cost, but the judge that's involved is going to be paying his share on this.
Isn't it true that all the judges that serve the state are actually part of a retirement system?
Exactly
and
right.
This is just plugging
Right.
an additional benefit that all the judges have by service to our state?
This is part of the compensation package that should go with that position.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Senator further yield. Senator from the 14th, recognized for a question.
Senator yield.
I'm game. I certainly yield.
Senators aren't true if you're not quite sure what you're presenting. If you can't baffle them with brilliance, you baffle them with, well, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Thank you.
Thank you. There are no more senators or questions for you, either one. Thank you very much. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Chair hears none. Is there objection to the agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor of the bill, vote yea. Opposed, vote nay. The secretary will unlock the machine.
Okay, now when he gets to 29, that's when you say. Make sure everybody has a chance to vote. We're not going to let your own folks vote.
You watch it, or in a moment I'll be recognizing 22nd for a sine die here. Thank you. All members voting? Have all members voted? Majority? Oh. Yeah. Waiting for a late arriving senator.
So he thinks he's in Congress.
The senator thinks he's in Congress, kind of strutting in here. Thank you. All members having voting, the secretary lock the machine. On the passage of the bill, A's are 50, yeah. Almost giving you a NV count, but on the passage of the bill, the A's are 50, the nays are 0, and the bill has constitutional majority needed for passage. Oh. Thank you.
Mr. Secretary, please read the bill.
House Bill 716 by Representative Blackman of the 146th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 33-24-59.23 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to carrier issuing health benefit plans to pay insurance agents commissions and regulation authority so as to provide that carriers issuing a health benefit plan in this state through an agent shall file proposed commission rates with the department and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Committee on Insurance and Labor, the Senate recommends that this bill do pass. Senator Jones of the 25th District Chair. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Recognize the senator from the 1st to present the bill. Doesn't look like he's getting ready. He's coming on up here.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm here to present House Bill 716. This is a bill from the Insurance Committee that basically requires insurance companies to submit the commission rates, even if the rate is 0. So it just requires them to file and pay, but if there's no commission, it is 0. That's simply what it does. I ask for your favorable consideration. If there are no questions, I'll yield the well.
Senator, you do not have any questions.
Thank you, Mr.
Yield
President.
well. Okay. All right. Let's see. Has not. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? The chair hears none. The senator. No, there's no. Okay. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor of the bill will vote yea, and opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. Yes. Recognize the senator from the 56th.
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. President.
State your inquiry.
Isn't it true that you are one of the senators that lives furthest from this Capitol building and have traveled here for the last 10 years, taking time away from your family, your children, and your business to serve the people of your district?
That is absolutely true.
Thank you, Mr.
And I know of what you speak.
So what I do, Mr. Secretary Cook gets on to me about it.
Okay.
When it gets to 29, I start saying, turn the mic off hot.
Have all senators voted? We have one more coming.
No, he's got a thumb up, so he's got it.
He's got it. Okay. Have all senators voted? Okay. The secretary will lock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 49 and the nays are 0. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed.
Would the senator from the 50th approach?
Mr. Secretary, will you read the bill?
House Bill 755 by Representative Belton of the 112th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 20-2-2068.1 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to charter school funding, so as to provide that local boards of education shall provide local charter schools with itemized allotment sheets for the upcoming fiscal year by July 1 of each year, to provide that when a local board of education determines that an adjustment to the allocation of a local charter school is necessary, the local Board of Education shall provide the local charter school with 30 days notice before the allocation is adjusted, provided an amended itemized allotment sheet to the local school, charter school, and publish the amended itemized allotment sheet in a prominent location on its website and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Education and Youth recommends that this bill do pass. Senator Martin of the 9th District, Chair. That completes the order.
I recognize the usurper and the senator from the 28th District to speak to House Bill 755.
Mr. President, I am not a usurper and I am not a pretender, but I am here to present HB 755, and this legislation is simple. Simply requires our local boards of education to provide each local charter school a preliminary annual allotment sheet, which basically just breaks down their allotments by state, local, and federal allocations. Currently, they're getting them all in one lump sum, and they can't really determine, the local charter schools can't determine what they're receiving. I'll yield for questions, should there be any.
You do have a question. The senator from the 26th is recognized.
Gentleman, Senator, was a senator here.
I certainly do, my friend.
If you're gonna give the list of what you're supposed to get, and basically it goes by student, then what happens when the student leaves the charter school and come back in the regular school system and they got the money?
Restate your question, please.
Charter schools,
Mm-hmm.
their allotment comes from the number of students that are in their school. Because the money basically goes to the local board of education, and that money is allocated to the charter schools based on the number of students that they have, the way that the state law is.
Correct.
What happens to that money when that kid who was listed in the charter school ends up back in the regular school system? Is that money refunded?
This bill isn't addressing that. This bill is simply addressing when the money, when they send the report of what money is being allocated. Right now, the report puts all the money, all the state, all the local, all the federal funding into one lump sum. And so the state charter schools are a little unclear as to where the money's coming from, and quite frankly, some of them are a little concerned that they're not getting the proper allocated money. And this is simply a transparency bill. And what it does is, I mean, this information is already out there. It's actually already out there. So it's simply just requiring the local boards to break it down for the charter schools so that they can be very clear as to. But this bill doesn't address, I believe, what you're concerned about.
But that's how they get the money. It's based on the student allocation. In other words, the kids that are not going into the regular school system that are in the charter school, that's basically how they get their money. Even with the state appropriations on charter school, it's based on the number of students that you have.
Well, and I'll, maybe this helps address it, but we are kind of moving the date to October 1 so that those changes will have time to be reflected. Any further questions? Mr.
Senator
President?
from the 30th is recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. With Senator Guild?
I yield.
Senator, I know this is not part of this bill, but is it not true that the computation for the student population of the school system is done twice a year to capture those that move from school to school?
Mr. Leader, you're wise beyond your years.
Thank you.
The senator from the 11th is recognized for a question.
Does Senator yield?
I yield.
Senator, when you were describing this bill and you kept emphasizing that it was a simple bill, were you trying to impugn the intelligence of our presiding officer that he couldn't understand if it was a complicated bill?
Senator, I would never say that about the great Arnold Schwarzenegger.
The senator from the 9th is on his probationary period, but keeping that in mind, he is recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator, will you yield?
I yield.
Senator, do you think that the presiding officer chose to preside on this bill because he missed the committee meeting where we discussed this bill?
No, I think he chose to preside over this one so he could be taller than me.
The senator from the 8th has a question.
Mr. Senator Yield.
I yield.
This is a serious question about this bill.
Oh, well, then I'm out. No, go ahead.
Is it not true that this deals with local charter schools and the state charter schools get their funding from the state? That money doesn't go through the local board.
That's correct.
So this deals with these charter schools that the local board is part of and involved with. So this just gives a little more transparency, as you say.
Yes, sir. As I stated earlier, it is about transparency. The state charter board brought this forward. DOE agreed with it. Everybody's for more transparency.
And this has nothing to do with the funding for the
No, sir.
state charter.
No, sir. We're not changing anything in the funding. Just simply more transparency, as we all fight for on a day-to-day basis.
There are no more questions. In the words of the inimitable Rules Chairman, be gone.
Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the will.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 53rd.
Yes, parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
There you go. Isn't it true, and many members in this body may not be aware of this, that you're a member of the FFA?
I was. I'm a lifetime member, by the way.
Isn't it also true that many members of this esteemed body doesn't know about your rare gift, that special thing that you have?
You're making me nervous. Okay.
There are not many people that know about this. Isn't that true?
That know about what?
Well, we don't know it either, is what I'm saying.
Thank you. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the bill? Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor of the bill will vote yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine.
All right, so now.
This is not a voice vote. Have all senators voted?
Got one remaining. He's at the door. We got one. Tell him to hurry up.
Hurry up.
Yeah.
The secretary will unlock the machine. Well, the secretary will lock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 50 and the nays are 0. The bill having received the requisite constitutional majority is therefore passed.
Hey, John. Take it. There you go. They love you, baby.
Thank you.
What point does the senator rise?
Parliamentary inquiry. Mr. President, we can't hear you. Will you please speak a little louder?
I'll try. You ready? Will the secretary read the next bill?
House Bill 780 by Representatives Perkel of the 155th, Green of the 151st, and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 50-16-34 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to the powers and duties of the State Properties Commission generally, so as to allow the Commission to use an opinion of value in the valuation of state property where a conveyance of the property by the state is for the sole and direct benefit to the state and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Government Oversight recommends this bill do pass. Senator Heath of the 31st District Chair. Mr. President, Senator Heath of the 31st District offers the following amendment to House Bill 780 by deleting, quote, or solely and directly benefits the state, close quote, on line 13 and inserting in lieu thereof the following, or for the purposes of constructing, installing, operating, and maintaining utilities which solely and directly benefit the state. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Thank you. I recognize Senator from 31st to speak to the bill. Senator, will you come down the other way? The floor is yours.
Mr. President, we're going to have a little conversation here in a little bit, but right now we got to deal with House Bill 780. You all know that from time to time the state grants an easement to a utility company across its property to install utilities for its own benefit. And currently, the state is required to get an appraisal done of the value of that easement. That value, the value of that appraisal, or the cost of that appraisal, is often around $3,000. And then we convey the easement for like $10. So this just clarifies that whenever the easement is for the benefit of the state, that that appraisal doesn't have to be done. Mr. President, I don't think you asked me to speak to the amendment number 1, but I'll be glad to, or I can walk back around and we can do it again.
Go ahead, speak the amendment.
Okay, amendment number 1 just clarifies the language. We had intended on getting this in the, make this change in committee, but this just clarifies that it is for the purposes of installing utilities across state property. I'd be glad to yield for any questions.
Senator, you have no questions?
Senator, would you like to talk, Mr. President, would you like to talk about the rules now or later?
No, I think we're done for now.
Thank you. I would urge your favorable support.
Would any other senator wish to be heard? Is any other? The question is on the adoption of amendment number 1 by the senator from the 31st District. Is there objection to the adoption of the amendment? Hearing none, amendment number 1 is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill as amended. All those in favor of the bill will vote yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine.
You watch the. Okay, where is this bill?
Right here.
The 53rd voted.
That's the senator from the 50th, he's voted.
Has the senator from the 50th voted?
Mr. Secretary, unlock machines. Would you like to?
Senator from 31st, would you like to make a motion?
Inquiry. Isn't it true that if this were to be reconsidered, that it would be on the following day?
Well, you might consider a motion to suspend the rules.
Mr. President, you know the rules are very important to this body. When they're to the benefit of the body.
Well, you
And
know,
when they're
just,
not, then we just do what we want to do. So I will try this. I would make a motion we suspend the rules and that we reconsider this bill and it be up for immediate reconsideration.
all right. Senator from the 31st has moved to suspend the rules. Is there objection? Hearing none, the rules are suspended. Now go state your motion.
I move that the Senate reconsider. I move that the Senate reconsider its actions on House Bill 780 and that reconsideration and the vote on the bill take place immediately.
All right, there's some parliamentary inquiries. It appears I recognize Senator from the 30th, the leader. Oh, I recognize Senator from the 18th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Would it appear that the senator's position has changed from yesterday on the rules to what he's asking this great body to do today?
We got off to the wrong foot on this bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Regardless, I will support the good senator from the 31st.
Motion to reconsider, do a voice vote on motion to reconsider.
Okay, we'll do a voice vote on motion to reconsider if there are no objection. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, like sign.
You gotta give them time to count them.
Hey, well, that's the only one that needs to be counted. All right, motion passes. Now we're back to the main question. All those in favor of Senate Bill 780, House Bill, excuse me, 780.
The question is the passage of the bill.
Aye. The question is on the passage of the bill as amended. All those in favor of the bill will vote yea, opposed nay. The secretary will unlock the machine.
Oh, man, good job, Jesse.
I always wondered how it was done.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Parliamentary inquiry number, Senator from 31st.
All right.
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Mr. President, isn't this true that while we have had some fun here, this is a very important measure for our state, and I would encourage a green vote?
Senator knows of what he speaks.
Close the machines, close the machines.
All right.
Close.
Will the secretary lock the machine?
I didn't want him to change it.
This, On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 49, nays 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed as amended.
There we go. All right. Let them give you a hand. Let them give you a hand. Senator from the 48th approach, please. Ooh, ooh. You're out of order back there, Senator from the 54th. Okay, you get right here. You get right here. You get right here. What are we on? 55.
Mr. Secretary, could you please read the caption?
House Bill 855 by Representative Wiedauer, the 119th, and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 3 of Article 6 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to educational programs so as to direct the State Board of Education to determine eligibility criteria for foster care students to receive special education and related services, to require the Department of Education to provide guidance to local school systems and for other purposes. Madam President, the Senate Committee on Education and Youth recommends this bill do pass. Senator Martin of the 9th District Chair. Senator Martin of the 9th and others offered the following amendment. Amend House Bill 855 by inserting, quote, to provide for an effective date, close quote, on line 8 before, quote, to provide for related matters, close quote, by striking on line 30, quote, January 1, 2021, close quote, and inserting in lieu thereof, quote, August 1, 2021, and for other purposes. Madam President, that completes the order.
I recognize the senator from the 28th District to speak to House Bill 855. Turn it off.
Thank you, Madam President. Present to you HB 855. This bill just simply prioritizes screening of foster care students and requires the department to create an applicable, big word, screening measure. That I'll, oh, and in your honor, I do have fiscal notes being delivered. They'll be here in an hour, so I'll take questions till then. And so how about it?
Gentleman is out of order.
Always. All right, I yield the will.
There are no questions. Thank you. There we go. There you go. Recognize the senator from the 9th to speak to the amendment.
Thank you, Madam President. My fellow Guanetian, I appreciate that. The amendment simply moves the effective date of this bill from January 1st, 2021 to August 1st, 2021 to correspond with the 2021 school year. If there are no questions, I'll yield the will.
Senator, you have no questions. Question is on the adoption.
Yeah, it popped up here.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure or the amendment? The chair hears none. The question is on the adoption of amendment number 1 by the senator from the 9th District. Is there any objection to the adoption of the amendment? Hearing none, amendment number 1 is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill as amended. All those in favor of the bill will vote yea, opposed nay, and the secretary will unlock the machine.
Have all senators voted?
Have all senators voted?
Parliamentary.
Parliamentary inquiry?
Yes, I'd like to state my inquiry. Isn't it true that, Matt, you are one tough Madam President? Isn't that true?
Yes, sir. You know of what you speak.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm sorry. Have all senators voted?
Got to lock machines.
Mr. Secretary, please lock the machines. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 49, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed as amended.
Bang it. Bang it. Bang it like you mean it.
Bang it.
Bang it.
Hey! Thank you.
Stay here with him. Let him clap for you. Stay
Okay,
here with him.
okay,
You know
thank
what
you.
There you go.
See, it's not that easy. That was a great sitcom I watched on my TV for about an hour up here. For what purpose does the senator from the 31st rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Mr. President, have you learned to stay in your position now and not be turning this over to others to preside?
I'm more confident now than ever. Thank you, Senator. Mr. Secretary, please read the caption of House Bill 914.
House Bill 914 by Representative Clark of the 147th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 43 of the Fish Code of Georgia annotated relating to professions and businesses so as to provide for military spouses licensed in other states to practice certain professions and occupations to obtain a license by endorsement to practice in this state and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Veterans, Military, and Homeland Security recommends this bill do pass. Senator Harbison of the 15th, I'm sorry, Senator Thompson of the 14th District Chair. Mr. President, the Senator from the 31st offers the following amendment: amend House Bill 914 by adding after quote "so as" close quote on line 2 the following: to provide for and change provisions relating to certain professions in the state and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 14th to speak to House Bill 914.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the body. We've already passed this bill, Senate Bill 316, unanimously out of here. All we're seeking to do is when military families are deployed to our state, we want to recognize the spouse's license. And with that, I'll yield the well if there are no questions.
You have no questions. Chair recognizes the senator from the 31st to speak to amendment number 1.
Thank you, Mr. President. As the senator from the 14th stated, we've already passed this in this body earlier, 35 to 10. This just adds in the acclamation, the crematory language this body passed earlier, and I'd appreciate your support. Thank you.
Senator has yielded the well. For what purpose does the senator from the 48th rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Like to challenge the amendment as violating the two-subject rule and not being germane to the bill at issue.
Stand by while I approach my counsel. All right, the chair is prepared to rule that the amendment is germane. House Bill 914 deals with the subject matter of professions and businesses generally with specific reciprocity provisions for military spouses. Also, they are both in Title 43. Amendment number 1 is ruled germane. All right, we're going to take up amendment number 1. The question is on the adoption of amendment number 1 from the senator from the 31st. Is there objection to adoption of the amendment? There is objection. All those in favor of amendment number 1 will vote yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. Here you go, Regina. For what purpose does the minority leader rise?
Mr. President, is it not true that the cremation of language here would mean that it wouldn't be a retort of fire, so it would include like water cremation or a water breakdown of body?
The chair has no opinion on that. Have all senators voted? All senators voted. Thumbs up from the aisleway. Mr. Secretary, close the machine. On the adoption of amendment number 1, the yeas are 33, the nays are 15, and the amendment is adopted. Now we're going to take up the measure. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none and the main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill as amended. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. Have all senators voted? Thumbs up from the hallway. Mr. Secretary, please close the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 42, the nays are 8. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed as amended. Mr. Secretary, House Bill, can you read the caption of House Bill 1057?
House Bill 1057 by Representative Rhodes of the 120th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 3 of Chapter 12 of Title 2 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to soil amendments so as to authorize further regulation of soil amendments derived from industrial byproducts by local governments and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Natural Resources and Environment recommends this bill do pass. Senator Harper, the 7th District Chair. That completes the order, Mr. President.
The chair recognizes the senator from the 24th to speak to House Bill 1057. Easy now. You dancing or running?
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, I give you this bill, present this bill to you. You know, most of the time we come down and present a bill and it helps the whole state of Georgia, which this will, but it's particularly going to help my district, and I ask you for your help and support. But all this bill does is make sure that the byproducts that is put out on the soil is done properly and the right amount, and also that It's been taken care of by, EPD is in favor of it. Ag Commissioner is also in favor of it. And it passed out of committee by full support. I just ask you for your vote and support for this bill, 1057.
You have no questions.
Thank you.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against House Bill 1057? Chair sees none. Is there objection or agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none and the main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. Have all senators voted? I think half of you wait for me to say that. Have all senators voted? Got one more coming. Mr. Secretary, please close the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 52, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. For what purpose does the senator from the 30th rise?
Mr. President, I move that the Senate table HB 292.
Mr. Secretary, can you please read the caption?
House Bill 292 by Representative Benton of the 31st, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 21 of Title 47 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions for the Regents Retirement Plan, so as to eliminate certain remittances required to be made by the University System of Georgia to the Teachers Retirement System of Georgia and for other purposes. I completes the order.
The Majority Leader has moved that the Senate place on the table House Bill 292. Is there objection? The chair hears none, and it is placed on the table. Mr. Secretary, can you please read the caption of House Bill 1102?
House Bill 1102 by Representative Rutledge of the 109th and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 2A of Chapter 8 of Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to homestead option sales and use tax so as to provide for a revised homestead option sales tax, to provide for a revised distribution of the proceeds from the levy of an equalized homestead option sales and use tax, to provide for the levy of a special purpose local option sales and use tax in certain counties and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on State and Local Government Operations recommends this bill to do pass. Senator Anderson of the 24th District, Chair. That completes the order.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 17th to present House Bill 1102.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the Senate, I bring to you House Bill 1102. This bill just allows a county that has a homestead option sales and use tax, or a host tax, to have a process where they can convert to an e-host tax, which is where, as you probably know, you collect taxes or sales tax to give a credit towards the tax digest and reduce property taxes. It's also a part of this bill that allows the voters in a county that has a host tax now to get 10% of the registered voters to petition to do a ballot referendum to convert without the county board of commissioners doing it, to convert to an e-host as well. There's only one county left in our state this affects, and that's Rockdale County, which I represent. Happy to answer any questions.
You have no more questions.
Ask your favorable consideration.
Any other senator wish to speak for or against House Bill 1102? Chair sees none. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. Have all senators voted? Mr. Secretary, please close the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 30, the nays are 20. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Secretary, will you please read the report of a committee?
Mr. President, the Senate Committee on State and Local Government Operations has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. House Bill 922 do pass. House Bill 1033 do pass. House Bill 1156 do pass. House Bill 1200 do pass. House Bill 1217 do pass. House Bill 1227 do pass. House Bill 1231 do pass. House Bill 1243 do pass by substitute. House Bill 1245 do pass. House Bill 1249 do pass. House Bill 1248 do pass. House Bill 1019 do pass by substitute. House Bill 1147 do pass. House Bill 1216 do pass. House Bill 1165 do pass. House Bill 1246 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Anderson of the 24th District Chair. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Mr. Secretary, please read the caption H.R. 1167.
House Resolution 1167 by Representative Green of the 151st and others, a resolution authorizing the conveyance of certain state-owned real property located in Glenn County, authorizing the lease of certain state-owned real property located in Gordon County, authorizing the conveyance of certain state-owned real property located in Muskogee County, authorizing the conveyance and lease of certain state-owned real property located in Paulding County, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Government Oversight recommends that this resolution do pass by substitute. Senator Heath of the 31st District Chair. The Senate Committee on Government Oversight offers the following substitute to House Resolution 1167, a resolution authorizing the conveyance of certain state-owned property in Charlton County, authorizing the lease of certain state-owned property in Dougherty County, authorizing the conveyance and lease of certain state-owned real property in Fulton County, and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 31st. Can't even, my eyes are going on me. 31st to speak to House Resolution 1167.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is the annual conveyance bill. There's properties in some 13 counties, if I counted them correctly. And as I said, it's the annual conveyance bill. Be glad to entertain any questions, or otherwise I request your favorable support.
You have no questions. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against H.R. 1167? The chair sees none. The question's on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to adoption of the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the adoption of the resolution? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Questions on the adoption of the resolution by substitute. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. Have all senators voted? Have all senators voted? Hallway looks clear. Mr. Secretary, please lock the machine. On the adoption of the resolution by substitute, the yeas are 48, the nays are 1. This resolution, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore adopted by substitute. Mr. Secretary, can you please read the caption of House Bill 230-230?
House Bill 230 by Representative Holcomb of the 81st and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 2 of Title 14 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to business corporations so as to provide for benefit corporations, to provide for the application of the Georgia Business Corporation Code, to provide for definitions, provide for naming, to provide for stock certificates, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Judiciary recommends that this bill do pass. Senator Stone of the 23rd District Chair. That completes the order.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 23rd to present House Bill 230.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, what House Bill 230 is a bill that was recommended by the business law section of the State Bar of Georgia to create a hybrid choice between for-profit corporations and charitable corporations in the Georgia Code. It's called a benefit corporation. It's the law in 35 states around the country, including Delaware. What it does is allow corporations, if they elect to be benefit corporations, to state a purpose in their articles of incorporation of public benefit, that is promoting the public good in a certain manner or preventing public harm. And it allows corporations to set standards and reports about their success in helping in whatever area they declare they want to focus on as far as public benefit is concerned. This is a model that has been successfully used by corporations like Ben & Jerry, Patagonia, and many others. The reason it's needed in Georgia is to give our business persons, our entrepreneurs, additional options when they want to form a business organization. It does not change any responsibilities of the board of directors or the corporation toward its stockholders. And in order to elect to be a benefit corporation, there has to be 2/3 of the stockholders approving the change. This is recommended and endorsed by the Atlanta Chamber of Commerce and the Georgia Chamber of Commerce. And hopefully it will have the same effect in Georgia that it's had in other states, and that is to bring more investment into our state. Mr. President, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
You have no questions, Senator.
I urge your support for House Bill 230.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against House Bill 230? Chair sees none. Is there objection or agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. Have all senators voted? All senators voted. We got a thumbs up from the hallway. Mr. Secretary, please close the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 32, the nays are 19. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Okay, quick update for you. We just completed the first rules calendar, and we're going to take a 15-minute recess while we transition everything over to the supplemental calendar. So we're going to take a quick 15-minute recess, and then we'll be back in action. The Senate will stand at ease.